I'm right there with you there on that. Our top 25 now out from the College Football Playoff Committee. Keep in mind this is the overall rankings, and then you have to do a little some extra math to find out the top 12 that will be actually in the poll, because it's not necessarily always a one-for-one what the poll is to what the committee's rankings are. But we'll iron all that out. Cincinnati, South Florida, Tennessee there at number 23. Pittsburgh with a big game this week against Notre Dame, the college game day destination this upcoming week. And
talked about those comments last show.
I know, yeah, exactly. Given what Pat Narduzzi, he doesn't care if they're 22 or 122.
A little shocked by Iowa still being on there. I mean, they're giving them credit for taking Oregon to overtime, I think.
Right. I think they're the only them and Tennessee are the only 3-loss teams that are in the top 25. Just I'm staring at it now because I did not know if they had another 3-loss team, but there's some talk this year that we could get a 3-loss team in the college football playoff. I don't know if I see that happening. I think everything has to break the exact right way.
Yes.
But we have a couple of 3-loss teams there sneaking their way into the top 25. Inside the top 20 we go. This is where we see the mash of ACC teams all kind of sandwiched all in here. Louisville at 20, Virginia at 19, followed by a pair of Big Ten teams, Michigan and USC. And then Georgia Tech at number 16. Georgia Tech there going up one spot from a week ago. Georgia Tech is the lowest ranked 1-loss team. The 2-loss teams that are ahead of them, I'm not going to play spoiler, but just some notable 2-loss teams that are ahead of them. Notre Dame, Texas, Oklahoma, Utah, Vandy. So the pollsters are really telling you they're not that impressed with Georgia Tech's resume.
No, and they're not impressed with the ACC at all. Because, I mean, that's basically what I'm taking from it. The highest ranked ACC team, if we keep it going here, is just one above them in Miami. He took down Notre Dame, and I think that's why the Hurricanes are still above them, even though Georgia Tech only has 1 loss.
Right.
I mean, you can't lose to NC State. That's the one that might keep you out of it, honestly.
Right, and really should have lost last week to Wake Forest as well.
Yes.
So, I mean, or a couple weeks ago to Wake Forest. To me, it's just a very – It's a very weird year in the ACC, and it'll be interesting to see just how many teams get in from this league, because historically you think about Florida State, you think about Clemson, but they're not built like that right now. They added more teams, but I feel like it's watered down. I think there's a lot more teams sandwiched in the middle, more so than there are really good or terrible.
Yeah, I mean, we saw week 1, we thought Florida State was going to be back to the 2023 Florida State that became the only undefeated Power 4 team to not make the college football playoff. And then Florida State, you know, they have this great offense. They have the number 1 offense in the country. And then they get upset by Virginia, and it feels like they just haven't been able to recover from it. Yeah. And I think they lost 5 in a row or something like that.
Yeah, I think it is.
They just lost by 14 to Clemson this past weekend. And then that's another one, Clemson. We all thought Clemson was going to come back.
Right.
They snuck their way into the college football playoff last year, and it's been a dud this year. And, you know, I think Dabo's finally getting exposed. He was able to get away with not being able to use the transfer portal for long enough. I mean, it takes some serious skill in today's college football world to be able to make the college football playoff and barely use the transfer portal. So kudos to him, but I think his time has run up with that strategy, and he's just got to adapt to the times, or else Clemson's going to have to move on, just like Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State.
That's exactly right. Adapt or die. That's kind of the philosophy of life, and especially right now in college football. Inside the top 10 we go now, or extension of the top 15 there. As you see, Vanderbilt, one of the SEC teams that are right there in the mix. We'll chew on that a little bit, as they're up now 2 spots there to number 14. Utah, BYU, Oklahoma, BYU falling 5 spots. So Vandy up to BYU down 5. Another 1-loss team. They did not look good offensively, though, against Texas Tech.
No, and I think, honestly, they needed a game like that, though, to reignite that fire in them. I still think that BYU could sneak into the college football playoff. Utah, maybe, but here's the thing. BYU is probably going to be playing in the Big 12 championship, and you cannot lose that.
Right. Yes.
At this point, you cannot lose the Big 12 championship.
Right. And it's so crazy, because some of the conference championship games will be games that teams can lose. For example, if Alabama runs the table and they lose in Atlanta, they're still in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Like the SEC championship game to them will just be basically a tune-up for the playoff.
It's going to be like the SMU-Clemson debate last year where, honestly, I was shocked that some people thought, SMU got obliterated by Penn State, but they deserve to be in the college football playoff because I think that was their first loss of the season at that point. Like that would have just been ridiculous,
right? To not have them in. But a different situation for BYU because I think when they do play in that game, they will have to win in order to keep their playoff hopes alive. Inside the top 10 we go. Texas, even though they were idle, they were up one spot. Notre Dame to number 9, which could create something interesting there as far as branding goes. You mentioned Oregon; they're at number 8. Ole Miss is number 7. They are down one spot, but I mean I think the committee still thinks of them in the same light as they did a week before. Texas Tech was kind of the big mover, the only really big mover inside the top 10 that really made a real impact on their team up to number 6. What stood out to you?
I think Texas Tech moving up to 6 is a little bit interesting to me. I know it was a big win over BYU, and they do have a couple of big wins in regards to the college football playoff.
Right.
Now, I don't see, and we'll get into this here in a minute, I don't see Texas Tech staying at 6 the rest of the season because that would mean they have to win out and win the conference championship.
Right.
They got UCF, they go up to West Virginia, and then they got to win the conference championship. I mean, you're talking about what could be an SEC roster with how much money they've thrown into the teams.
Yes.
But still, that's a tall ask. Especially, I don't want to toot my own horn, but the West Virginia Mountaineers are looking to play spoiler. They already spoiled one team season, Houston Cougars.
Right.
And now they're going to be wanting to hunt for them again.
They got a chance to do it once again there at the very end of the season. Top 5 remains the same. Yes. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Georgia. Georgia, of course, playing Texas in a huge matchup coming up this weekend. We talked a little bit about the Vanderbilt Commodores. It seems like this committee has been very high on Coach Clark Lee, Diego Pavia and company, and still giving them a realistic shot to sneak their way into the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like 14th is a little generous for this team because if you've looked at who they've played in the SEC and the wins that they have, I mean, you could make the argument that their best wins against number 10 LSU.
That's right.
But LSU was number 10 at the time. We've seen how LSU has panned out since. And then their worst loss, it's to a team 4 spots in front of them right now that just vaulted up the rankings ever since the Florida loss.
Right.
They still have Kentucky at home, and then that big one in Knoxville to end the year. I really do find it interesting. I mean, if we're going off of this, if Texas and Oklahoma does lose, or if they both lose.
If they both lose, right, which is feasible.
I could see Vanderbilt sneaking in as that last at-large bid.
That would be amazing because, and we've talked about the importance of that Tennessee game, but they might sneak in before then. Let's just say Saturday. Let's say Oklahoma loses in Tuscaloosa, and let's say Texas loses between the hedges at Georgia. I could see them right there, and in next week's bracket, they're right there. Inside the top 12.
That's got to vault them up. I mean, just looking in front of them. I mean, you could even see Utah maybe losing or BYU.
Right.
I think, honestly, they would just need Utah or BYU to lose one more game. Vanderbilt would have to win out.
Right.
And then Vanderbilt could be that 10 seed.
And I'm peeping Utah's schedule just to make sure. Yeah, they go to Baylor against Kansas State and Kansas. So I mean, not necessarily you just can't pencil them all as wins. They are going to be favored, I would think, in all those games. But
the one that intrigues me is that Baylor game because of Sawyer Robertson and what he's been able to do this year. Yeah, it's been a down year for Dave Aranda and the Bears, but man,
he's been lighting it up.
As we talked about at the beginning of the show, it's crunch time now for some of these teams, and it's where pure chaos could start to unfold.
Exactly. Before we sign out for this segment, Texas Tech has been interesting because Texas Tech, as you mentioned, they have one heck of a roster.
Yes.
Poured a lot of money into it. One of the guys actually from this area, Lee Hunter, from the Gulf Coast area here in Mobile where we are. He decided to forego the NFL to come back and help Texas Tech win a national championship. They're right there at number 6. Central Florida and West Virginia left. Do you see this team staying right in there inside the top 6?
It's just, as I mentioned, they're pretty much penciled in to the Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
I know mathematically they aren't in yet, but I'd assume hosting UCF, I mean, they're probably going to win that game. UCF's only win in the Big 12 is over West Virginia, but West Virginia's been playing good as of late, so that's the one wild card game. Look, if Texas Tech wants to host a college football playoff game, they have to win out and win the conference championship.
Yes.
That's just what I think, because if they win these next 3 games, presuming the Big 12 championship as well, they're an automatic. I would say they sit right at 6.
Right.
If they win each of these games, they're not going to move from 6.
Okay, so they'll stay at 6 in your
Yes.
opinion. They'll and of course
you can't say they're better than Georgia, even if maybe if Georgia loses this week.
That's the thing. If Georgia loses this week, then you can make the argument that one loss
they
Texas
won't
team
go
is better. I don't
further
think they
than
will.
5.
So their ceiling is 5.
Ceiling is 5.
And their floor is out basically.
Yes.
If their floor is out with one more loss, or do they need to lose 2? Do you think
2.
they got to get to that
I think they need to
threshold?
win 2 or need to lose 2.
Lose 2, yeah.
Because I put an asterisk against their worst, right next to their worst loss at Arizona State, because Baron Morton didn't play.
Right.
And they,
right.
and they
Yeah,
only
that's a
lost
good
by
side
4
note.
on the road.
That's a good side note. And the committee thinks about that.
Yes.
The committee takes that into when they factor things in. They will definitely factor in the fact that he did not play in their only loss there of the season. And obviously a really good situation setting up there for the Red Raiders. They are putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak.
Hey,
so
when
far
it
this
works,
year.
it works, and you look like a genius. But when it doesn't, then everyone just hates you.
Exactly. That's exactly right.